It's about men.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. It's about women.
Her big move should be coming up any moment.
Yes! Bravo! Yeah, I know!
It's about last night. Starring Rob Lowe, Demi Moore, Jim Belushi, and Elizabeth Perkins. About last night.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under. It's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man kicks off a new segment called Memorable Movie Soundtracks and does an appraisal of the 1986 soundtrack About Last Night. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now today I'll be kicking off a brand new segment on the channel called Memorable Movie Soundtracks. That's right guys, you know those songs from movies that really mean something to you? Well, hey, I've got plenty for you today because I'll be talking about a soundtrack from a 1986 romantic dramedy starring Rob Lowe, Demi Moore and James Belushi. This is the soundtrack right here. It's for the movie About Last Night. Now this is a great little film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But I'll say this, the soundtrack contains 11 songs of pure emotion. This is an emotional film, it's a romance film, and the soundtrack really lifts what's on the screen. In fact, it's kind of the perfect match of songs and visuals.
Get on with your life. It's over.
Now, the About Last Night soundtrack contains 11 amazing songs, and today I'll be talking about some of them. Firstly, I'll be talking about the 2 tracks by Sheena Easton. I'm sure you've heard of her. She was the Scottish singer with that short cropped hair, with those striking looks. She was famous for those songs called Morning Train and the title song from the Bond film For Your Eyes Only. Now, her 2 songs on this album are something else. She's got the first track on here called So Far, So Good. Now this is a song full of pep, sass. It's a bouncy sort of pop number. Sheena does it so well. And her second track on here is one called Natural Love. It really sums up the essence of Rob and Demi's romance. You whack that song in the film and wow, it lifts it to another level. So Sheena's got 2 killer tracks on here. In fact, Sheena is very happy with her songs that she contributed to this one, and she often sings them still today in her stage shows. So if you happen to see a Sheena Easton concert, you may happen to get a couple of tracks from About Last Night. They're some of her favourites. Now, another guy that appears on this album is John Oates. Oates, you know the name, from Hall & Oates. You know the guy with the moustache? So John Oates is flying solo here, and She's the Shape of Things to Come is John's track on this one. It's a very Hall & Oatesy number, and if you like Hall & Oates, that's a great track.
Oh, she's the shape of things to come.
And also, we've got a great song by Jermaine Jackson. He's one of Michael's brothers. And the song's called Words into Action. And it's a romantic song, elegant lyrics, soulful. And it's played on a great scene in the movie, their first night together, Rob and Demi. And it really sets the mood fantastic. And Jermaine Jackson is actually a very talented guy in his own right. So you think of Michael all the time, but Jermaine Jackson was certainly on the scene in the 80s, and Words into Action is a great song from the About Last Night soundtrack. And we also have Bob Seger with the track Living Inside My Heart. You know Bob Seger, he brought us the adolescent classic Night Moves back in the 70s. And this song here isn't original. Bob did this song just for the film, and it doesn't show up anywhere else but on this soundtrack. He did it just for the film. You won't see it on any of Bob Seger's compilation albums, the greatest hits. You won't find this track. It's on here only. So if you're looking for a heartfelt, soulful Bob Seger track, Living Inside My Heart is definitely the one to check out.
She's living inside my heart now. Living inside.
Now also we have a song by Michael Henderson called Till You Love Somebody. It's an elegant love song with some great lyrics. Wow, this song is something else. If you've ever heard it, you'll probably remember this on a classic scene in the film. It really picks up the scene and the emotion runs hot. Till You Love Somebody by Michael Henderson. Wow, what a song. And Mr. Henderson sounds a little bit Billy Ocean-ish, and that's a compliment to Michael Henderson. It's a great, elegant love song. Wow, Till You Love Somebody.
Not a day goes by, not a single night. You don't know what it's like till you love somebody.
And we also have the premiere track on the album. It's by John Waite. It's called If Anybody Had a Heart. Now that was kind of used in the marketing for this album and the film. There was a music video with John Waite. It's a great video actually, and it has a lot of scenes from the About Last Night movie, and that was one of the premiere tracks.
If anybody had a heart like mine.
And that fabulous John Waite track rounds out the album, If Anybody Had a Heart. Man, I just feel like going and listening to this one again. In fact, if you will go and listen to this album now, you will certainly want to go and revisit the film. That's what it's like, guys. About Last Night, that's the movie, that's the soundtrack from 1986. I remember seeing this movie back in the day, and hey, I just felt after watching it, the soundtrack, wow, boy did that add a lot to the film. It was the cherry on top, the icing on a great movie. And if you've never seen the film and never heard the soundtrack, you're missing out. If you're a romantic at heart, About Last Night is the one to check out. These tracks are great. You've got Bob Seger, you've got, man, John Waite. Oh, you've got Sheena Easton, you've got John Oates, you've got Jermaine Jackson, and of course Michael Henderson. This album's something else, About Last Night from 1986, and it all comes together to make it a memorable movie soundtrack from the 80s. So if you listen to this soundtrack, do you enjoy watching the movie About Last Night? Tell me about it in the comments below. Actually, tell me your favourite song from the About Last Night soundtrack, because I want to know about it. Is it the Bob Seger track? Is it the John Waite track? Or is it those catchy little songs by Sheena Easton? Tell me about it in the comments below. And that's it for today, guys. But if you like memorable movie soundtracks of the 1980s, please return to the 80s show, because I've got more of these coming your way. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as funny as James Belushi in About Last Night. Please subscribe and good night, viewers.